Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 21 of the Contest Round podcast. Hope you're all well. Hopefully you're all grinding away at home and staying very safe and obviously keeping your social distancing. In any case, you can find the podcast. It's available on SoundCloud, on Spotify, iTunes, and obviously we've got the YouTube playlist. And obviously in episode 21 is going to focus on a lot of very juicy subjects, some stuff from last week, and as well the no-show of the roadmap. But also myself and Dan will be deep diving our own wish list when it comes to the roadmap, which will obviously drop on Friday. Now, if you're not familiar with my co-host, you should go to www.frontlinemcoc.home.blog. Links are always in the description. And make sure you make it your homepage so that when you kind of put it on your browser, that you get all the up-to-date MCOC information, as well as guides and helpful tidbits of information. Now, Dan, hello. Another week.
Hey, Rich. How are we doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good. Just trying to find some new bits in the game that I enjoy, work on some new projects, and also like you, trying to spend a little time outside, get some things done and feel productive.
Absolutely. It is one of these things, or we were just talking before we started the podcast, that what creatively we like doing is very, very important. And
yes.
I'm finding a balance between what people want to see out of us respectively, and as well what we creatively like doing. Whether or not it's MCOC or like a different game is kind of like, is a very important balancing act. But as well, yeah, just looking after yourself when it comes to quality of life outside of the game as well. So that's
absolutely, you got to know when to call a timeout, right?
Yeah. I was thinking I had great plans this weekend. I would kind of set up like what team I definitely wanted to take into like Abyss, Labyrinth for Legends, and set up some stuff for future content that I wanted to grind. But I just kind of felt like instead I'll do some like wedding things, do a bit of gardening as well. Just all the kind of like stuff that I think I should be getting out of my life. And I think this is the thing that we'll kind of go into about whether or not, because MCOC does have that point where over the summer months, players do take a little bit of leave of absence, obviously, to sort of enjoy the summer. I mean, it's not exactly what we envisioned for summer 2020. Which obviously
that's for sure.
Yeah. In game and as well out of game as well, by that means.
All around.
But yeah, bringing it back to the scheme of the game. Obviously, we're now is this like two weeks into, or nearly 2 weeks up until like
a week and a half into June. Yeah,
we've got. I'm getting back into grinding Island of Modok. I think since I saw your video and kind of like write up on this, I was thinking to myself, look, have I kind of like poo-pooed this a bit too early? So, I went back in with the Corvus team and found like, if I want to have a lazy approach, then Corvus and Archangel are two combinations that can really help out, and especially against that tech path.
You don't even need to read the nodes on the tech path with Corvus.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, that's just, that's probably another issue for another day with how good Corvus is. But I think what happened, and you basically spelled it out, like why I wrote the article is we all freaked out about the rewards on the store, right? That's where all our attention went. And I think everyone went in day one. And I was even joking about it on the podcast last week because I went in and my first boss was Darkhawk with Masochism and Mighty Charge.
Thank you.
Which is probably the worst combination that you can get.
I got Spite of Masochism and Darkhawk, so,
Yeah, I mean, that.
But I do agree, Mighty Charge, yeah.
Potato. That's, the whole thing is, that's a nasty combo. Both of them are nasty. So, when you've just been fighting for more rewards and you run into that monstrosity, you're not going to be in a good place with the content. But then as I started to run it a few more times, I really saw how they had changed a few things. It's not a perfect event. It still needs some work. So I do believe most of the issues are not event specific, but are actually due to the fact that Cavalier difficulty isn't out yet. Because I think the main complaint you and I are seeing right now is from those that are uncollected.
Yeah.
Because Epic is way too hard for them, and Master is way too easy for them.
Yeah.
So it's not fun when you can just roll one difficulty level, but you see these higher rewards, which you can't get and doesn't seem reasonable. There needs to be a step, right? Epic is too hard for those people, but it's too easy for those of us with 565 Corvuses and Ghosts and all these other champions, right? So, that's the main problem. But just touch on it quickly. Switching to the class based paths is such a big deal, right? Because if you've got random nodes and random champions, what happens when it's Nick Fury into Annihilus, into Nova, into Man Thing, you think of, or into Korg, right? Like, how are you supposed to plan for all those champions with one roster?
That's true.
In a row with random nodes? Like, it's too much because the defenders are so highly tuned now. So it's much easier now that it's class based. And the other thing that I really, really love, I think this is actually my favorite thing, is switching from a 24-hour reset to the sample collectors for admission. It's so good.
It seemed to be that Kabam would put in something like this last month, and I think must be a quality of life improvement. It's a small thing.
But it's big.
Yeah.
It seems small, but it's big because playing a side quest every 24 hours for 28 days really burns you out.
Yeah.
If you can play it 3 or 4 times on a day when you have all your champions available, so you can counter everything.
Yeah.
And then you can take a few days off and recharge. It just feels a lot better. It's amazing how something as simple as that, you say like, oh, like a 24-hour reset 28 times versus 30 collectors you can use anytime. It doesn't sound like much, but it makes a real big impact. So, we've been giving a lot of feedback to Kabam, and it's just as important to point out when they make a change that's right versus when they make a change that's wrong, because we want them to duplicate the things we like. So that's pretty much why I wrote that article.
Yeah, and that's the thing that kind of inspired me to kind of like go back into and do it, and also kind of like maybe give a chance to like other champions that would be good against different paths, which I'm still yet to do. But that's the thing. I'm not well, I'd say I'm a workhorse, but I obviously Monday to Friday is like I'm all about MCOC, and then the weekend, apart from us recording the podcast, it's a case like M would literally just beat me if I didn't kind of like at least make a stab to try and help plan our wedding, and as well obviously see family, friends, and all those things at distance.
Definitely.
But yeah, like myself and Dan, we do understand the plight of players when it comes to champion availability. I mean, we've talked about this. The champions that you as players, you've just become uncollected, you rank up, and the ones that you may have at like 565 that you may go, right, these are my strongest. And I did point this out the first time I went into Island of Modok, was that I took in champions which, because I didn't know, I had an idea but not 100% concrete idea of what the event would be like, taking in just whatever was available that wasn't in Alliance Wars and Alliance Quest that were my strongest, did cause a problem because they weren't Corvus Clave, they weren't Archangel, they weren't thought out of not exploiting but strategically taking on certain paths, which
exactly
now it's a case that, maybe should I have done like more guides and looked into this in the first 24 to 48 hours? Maybe. Would that have been better than just kind of like poo-pooing the event? Possibly, but it's still be a case that, me, like I said, myself and Dan understand that there will be people just become uncollected and just become Cavalier that may not have the rosters to take on this, unless you're looking into taking 4 stars and having a bit of a ball ache when it comes to that event. Is that fair to say that?
Yeah, no, that's fair to say. That we definitely, and I think we're going to talk about this later, but difficulty tuning is a huge concern in the game right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And what constitutes fairness. But like, yeah, myself and Dan have got the wish list, which I'll have on screen. I'll put time codes to it, so you can see that. Anyway, the next thing to talk about is creators, or kind of like YouTubers, personalities as well, because it's not just about people that upload content to YouTube, leaving the game. I've seen a little influx in the last 7 days of people from many people on Twitter. I'm just trying to remember. There was I
think it was Arnie 2.
Arnie 2.
I know, and he's a guy that I really liked his war video stuff.
Yeah, I do too.
And I think, unfortunately, I don't know this for sure because I didn't reach out, but his thing was always like, let's make war fun. Like, he loved making war fun and putting up war videos. So if your whole thing is, I'm going to put up war videos and I want to make war fun, well, that's a tough sell right now, right? To convince yourself that war is fun. So I could see why a guy like him, where if that was his game mode that he was making content about and really enjoyed, and it started to go downhill, you could see why someone would get disillusioned with the game.
Yeah. I've Arnie 2 used to come a lot of my streams. But that's the thing. Once I've seen it about, he's a good dude, got on well.
Yeah.
But it's sad. I mean, as well with Killer Beezy.
I know.
Someone else.
Beezy's such a good dude.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I met him at Comic-Con in 2018. I was right in line between Seaton and Beezy, playing the tournament there, the qualifying matches. And, he's just such a warm dude, and he was talking my ear off about taking 4-star Thor to into Alliance Quest at the time, and like he just being in his presence got me so hyped about the game, so it's really sad when a guy like that isn't hyped about the game.
Yeah, I think that it does come a point where there's other game, and this is the thing we talked about again off the recording of the podcast, was where happiness is. And like Seaton's happy playing 7 Deadly Sins. He has to reiterate, because there have been people going like, oh, why aren't you uploading MCOC? Why aren't you doing this? And it's just like, look, it's all about happiness. He's done the fairness thing by saying, right, well, I'm not going to put 7 Deadly Sins content on my CRPodcast of Legends channel, but I will be uploading it to my other channel, making that squarely about 7 Deadly Sins, which I think is very fair to people. But obviously, demanding somebody to create content on something where either they not interested, burnt out, and bored, is kind of like it's not particularly fair to do that. And
no, it's not. And also, remember, Seaton's doing this as his full-time job. Mm-hmm. So if he looks at June and says, well, I'm 100% everything in MCOC, and I've got a window where I can grow my second channel before something big happens again in MCOC, whether it's Cavalier difficulty or Variant 5 or whatever, like that's, he's got to allocate his resources as far as time.
Yeah.
Like that's, we have to understand he's making business decisions as well.
Yeah. So it's everything. It's happiness. It's the business side of things. It's everything that encompasses that. And I think that's the thing about you got to respect that from an individual perspective.
Absolutely.
Like if I was to say unlike the Marvel Realm content, I do plan to take that away from this channel to make it on a separate channel. That's obviously in motion. I have a Rich's Realm channel, which I have a video. Something that I was thinking about bringing to the podcast is that I didn't realize that Kabam actually bought a separate developer, and in fact, Marvel Realm of Champions is being developed by Kabam Montreal.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
See, I didn't know that either, but I think it was, I don't know if APOC is listening, but APOC on Twitter basically said that Kabam had purchased last year a studio called Riptide. I think it's Riptide Studios. And the company itself has delivered different types of games, which I do think kind of gives away what Marvel Realm is going to be. Now, I can't verify that, but there was an article about it, which kind of like when people go, oh, they're kind of putting all this effort to Marvel Realm, or like, oh, they've cut the team and it's gone. Well, I think only like a handful of staff has actually gone from Vancouver to Montreal to produce this game. As I said, I can't 100% kind of deliver that. But I'm going to look, before I do the video, I'm going to do my due diligence and make sure I kind of deep dive that a bit more. But anyway, that's obviously changing the subject a bit.
Interesting, though. Very interesting.
It is. I'll send you the article after this, and maybe I'll put it in for people to read. Okay, next thing is champion animations to talk about. Something that I got stung by Dr. What was it called? Doc. God, bloody hell. I can't think.
And his tentacles.
Yeah, that's been kind of like messing me around a bit. This must be more extensive to a point that, and I had this theory about this, Dan. I don't know where you stand on this. That the way that this might be done is because it's got like this is to do with props, which Kabam have said this is. So props of characters. This could be something that maybe is interacted with in the future. So Kabam could be creating a character that interacts with a character that throws props, or maybe it's something that it's hard to kind of know. Because sometimes I feel that they might be working on something, and that's where something in particular pings out of place. But games are games, and anything really pings out of place. What do you think about that?
And what device are you playing on right now?
I'm on iPhone XS.
Huh. Okay, yeah, I'm on an iPhone 8. I don't know, I haven't really run into too many of these animation issues to be honest, but I know I've seen some with Medusa with her hair and Ghost Rider with the chain. I don't know, it's weird. It's, you know, I think for me this falls into the category of every time there's an update there's always something, and this is the something for this month. And
this is the thing that the Android players like. It's surprise. It's not, but it's not surprising. It's something that I've kind of.
No, it's not.
No. The like M plays Marvel. Like she was literally on a stream raging because of the fact that she plays on a Samsung A9, which is not. It's one of those phones where, you know, like for Samsung, it's like the Galaxy. It's like the main line. It's like one of those kind of offshoot types of devices, which is like it's not mainline, but the main line of phones they release, but it's like a different type.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of players have complained about the A70 issue for Samsung A70, and also various other kind of Samsung devices not really functioning with the game adequately. And this is something that when she was playing Modok Islands, that she would get to the final boss, defeat it, and then it would just go into a connection problem, come up with a notice saying about failed to log in, and then she'd go back in again, and her champions would be at half health or dead, and the enemy's going to be at full health.
Ugh.
Yeah. I have been speaking with a Kabam representative for a little while. I've got footage to send through, but it's just the case that everything's really gone silent on, I think, dealing with that. And one thing I did kind of reiterate, and something will kind of come into my wish list, is just Kabam being honest about the extent of what they can run the game on, because essentially, and one of my points is that this game is meant to be available on Apple and Android devices, but it's not a case that it's all iPhone and all Apple and all Android devices. There's ones that don't really run the game as efficiently as others, and basically would just be a case of going, why even bother picking up the game on this device? It's just really to find out, like, because they used to do the end of line. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but I don't think I've seen that for a year or so.
Exactly. That's just the thing about going. When is a point that look, guys, we can't give you the best gaming experience on this device, just FYI, because I know Kabam in the past used to send out old devices, send out devices to people, like very early on. Kabam would send out free like tablets. Did you ever hear about that?
No, this was like 5 years ago?
Legit, yeah. I think I think it was having a conversation. Frojo34. He shout out to Frojo. He will remember that incident. I think me and him talked a while ago about this, but there was many people that Kabam just did that, and I don't know if this is pre-Netmarble Kabam that used to do that, and this is kind of like very different. I don't know. I can't really kind of comment on that being a thing, but yeah, it was. It's kind of cool that they would do that, but
Oh, for sure.
But I don't know if they do. I don't know if they're willing to do something.
It would get pretty expensive, though.
Yeah, I mean, they gave out like iPads at New York Comic Con. Not saying like, oh, there's loads. Take this, take that. It was a case like
right. No, it's like one on the prize wheel.
One on the prize wheel, and every time it was won by Big Blue. Big Blue, Tim O'Connell, if he's listening.
Yeah, I think didn't Brian Grant win the tablet?
Oh, he better not.
One year as well. I think that might have been a couple years ago.
Okay, well, if he did, then good for him. But
yeah, well, I think the Android thing is so tricky, right? Because iPhones are just way easier to optimize. But it does seem like the Android issue has been more pronounced as of late.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering if this is symptomatic of them working from home. Because you know about the table of devices, right?
Yes, I've heard about that.
Okay, so for those that don't know, at Kabam HQ, they have a table with like all these different phones and devices you can play the game on. So like if someone sends in a ticket and says, all right, well, this device is having this issue, they can go to the table and try to duplicate the issue, right?
Yeah.
But it's a lot harder to troubleshoot these things when it's like, all right, well, are those devices still at the office? Did some people take some home? Did some take another one home? It's like, how do they get the right device in the hands of the right person when they're all working remotely, right?
Yeah.
Like it seems like the problems are getting worse, and I'm just wondering if they're getting worse just because it's really, really difficult for them to troubleshoot these things right now, because how do you get the devices in everybody's hands? I mean, this Android stuff is very specific.
That's the thing. I don't know if there's more extensive builds on an Android device as opposed to an Apple device. I don't know, so I'm just obviously
I mean, we're speculating on that, but it's something I've noticed that especially with you, because you cover it in the news, is the Android device issue seems to be one of those things that's picking up steam.
Yeah. There's something that I wanted to kind of talk in a podcast, but it's like there's a lot more to it. It's a lot more depth and a lot more Twitter conversations. That it was the AQ tickets thing. I think we'll have to like save that for another time. And see how that goes.
That would take a while to unpack.
Yeah,
for sure.
And this is the issue because like next week we're probably going to be deep diving the roadmap response, which obviously, if you don't know, is out on Friday next week. And just kind of just let me know, there's nothing in the CCP. We have not been given the roadmap up front. It's the case when you find out, we find out. Just to kind of dispel anything at the moment on that. One thing I want to talk about is Intel compensation. That was something that kind of came up, and whether or not people. Did you do a daily deal of the Intel? I
did do one daily deal. I bought that Sunday deal.
That wasn't too bad.
I do like that deal. So that deal was the $5 for one cav, 2K T5B, 5 generic 5-star SIG stones, 250 6-star shards, and the Intel. So I got compensated for that and got 60 gold coins.
Yeah. How did you feel that was in realms of compensation? Because I've seen it's very mixed. I found that very mixed when we were looking at the forums on, I think it was Friday. It just seemed that there was people that were okay with it, but predominantly I think people were kind of like, well, they expected a bit more. I think someone was like hoping for about 1,000 coins in compensation.
I mean, that 1,000 coins for one deal.
I'd say extensive paying. I'm talking maybe all the deals bought.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at that. But let's. I'm going to break it down for one deal, right? So if you had bought one Intel deal, you couldn't run an Epic Rift. Right. It was about half the Intel you needed for an Epic Rift, and it wasn't even enough Intel for a Master Rift.
Wow.
Either. So it wasn't like you were getting a ton of value. But let's say for argument's sake that it put you over the edge and you could run a tier 3 Master Rift, right? Mm-hmm. what's in there? Well, half a T5B, a 4-star crystal, a whole T4B, 4-star awakening gem, or 1,000 5-star hero crystal shards, right? So nothing too crazy there, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you got, all right, with the 60 gold coins, you could buy, these are things that will cost you 60 gold coins. 3,000 5-star shards, or 5 tier 1 alphas, or 1 T5B and 1 T1A, or 5 level 2 revives and 1 level 2 health potion. All of which are better than anything in the master, the T3 Red Rift.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you told me instead of the intel, I was automatically, instead of, whatever it was, the 200 intel, if you just swap that out with 3,000 5-star shards, I'm happy with that all day long. So, I think it was fine. I think it was just, well, I got 200 of intel and I got 60 gold coins and 60 is less than 200. So I'm upset. But I think if you actually look at the prizes and what you could buy with that amount of intel versus what you could buy with the gold coins, you are well ahead.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I think that covers that. I mean, I didn't really kind of like, I didn't buy it, so it's one of these things where I don't know if it's really like it's up to me to determine the value. But obviously that's well enough to break it down against the lack of what you'd be able to pick up from a rifting perspective, but also what you'd gain from a coin perspective. So I think it's all relative to a degree. But obviously,
I mean, and let's face it, there was plenty of red rifts from the tier 4 that the rewards were a lot less than 3,000 5-star shards.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. What did you have a chance to see the Fake Kraven the Hunter?
I did. I watched your video on that. Kraven is probably in one of the top 5 most heavily rumored champions for MCOC, right? Like, it's always like him, and it's a lot of the Spider-Verse characters, right? Like the Lizard comes up a lot. The Spider-Man fans want their villains.
Yeah, true. The thing is, it was a good build and it was a fun build, and obviously it kind of plays into what people are looking to see. Obviously, to point out, it is fake. We all know it's fake.
It is fake.
Yeah,
Rich, this was your week of fake news.
Yeah, it was.
Like, you were taking on the fake news.
Yeah, I mean, for that, the video that I posted yesterday, which was like, it was a fun little video. I wanted to kind of like showcase the journey of how a predictions list that was on Twitter, or even like it wasn't the exact same kind of image because I couldn't find it. But Cosmic Marlin produced something. It then went to a Facebook site that took it, but also cut off certain bits, and as well kind of led to believe that it was a leak. Started off that train of like hashtag leak. That then became something that people latched on, creating 2 YouTube videos which I saw on it, which then became something of a Portuguese YouTuber contacting Gabe Frazera and saying, is this a leak? Of which Gabe went, no, this is taken from Cosmic Marlins. So I thought it was quite funny to kind of like, not funny, but I thought it'd be quite interesting to take the journey of fake news from when it starts from one place, then becomes Chinese whispers. I think it was because I got many people contacting me saying that, why has Kabam changed? Why aren't they doing Wizard on this month? Why aren't they doing this champion in May? Or like, why is this champion? Or is this champion coming? And I was like, look, this is incorrect. This is the journey of this stuff. That was an interesting deep dive. But the Kraven the Hunter kind of fan-made thing, there's a lot of kind of things that aren't really correct from a anatomical point of view. Like the arms are kind of not proportioned correctly. I don't think the head is proportioned and the neck is proportioned correctly as well. So obviously it's interesting to know that somebody can create something like that, and I think this is being created in some sort of similar game engine, I want to say, because I don't think it's kind of like, from an editing point of view, you can normally kind of pinpoint something that it's like when something's been overlaid on top of something and it's meant to kind of like,
there's a tell.
There's a tell. So it's whether or not this has been created in like a not the same game engine that Kabam used to build their characters in, or it's something, or Marvel Contest Championship for that matter, or this has been something that's been created on like a sandbox kind of engine, which is obviously taking in things like the background of the hangar, and as well like just building the characters on some sort of like movement and modeling, similar thing to Sausage Fighter, where Kabam created from the very start point.
Sausage Fighter.
Yeah, if people know that reference,
that
then you know. But Sausage Fighter was basically Marvel Contest Champions at the start. What do you think about the level of effort that went into that? And would you like to see more of them, of that, providing
I mean, it's I don't know. It's not really my thing. Like it's with all these leaks. Like I don't like seeing the animation leaks that are early, because they're not usually complete. Like I want to see what the artist's intentions for these things are, and I understand, like from a fan point of view, it's like pretty cool, and we want to speculate, and we all want to guess characters and think about what they'd be like. But I don't know. Part of me right now just wants to like sit back and like just absorb the journey that Gabe is constructing for us, and see where he wants to take us, and see his vision for the art. The best stuff that we're getting. So it's sort of fun and harmless, unless people get confused and think it's legit. And then it becomes a problem.
I guess that's the same thing with what I was kind of pointing out with like the fake news situation, when it comes to like what is determined by people of saying just that a simple change on a Facebook site to put #leak. It is enough to kind of do that. I mean, that's something that I try not to put in when I'm doing Marvel Contest Champions News. I want to make sure that I'm getting as many correct bits of information as possible. Like, I don't ever want to use... I've probably used leaked in the past, but the thing is, I may have used that in a term of like saying what is actually going to be coming, not kind of like, speculative.
Right.
Because again, that's like you have to be careful about stuff when it comes to like what information you're giving out to people, or what information as well you might have found. And also the element of surprise at times. But then I guess that's a problem for me, because I like doing comic. I like to know who's coming, because then what I do is I then put together my like history videos. So it's a bit of a catch-22, I think, for me, on certain subjects.
I mean, I just think it's dangerous when people get upset because of a leak that's just fan speculation.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like you said, people are contacting you. Why'd Kabam change their plans? It's like you're getting upset at them for something they didn't do.
Yeah. Right, we've reached a halfway point in the podcast, which I think is a good opportunity now to look at something which Dan Cato said, Rich, we should do like a wish list for the roadmap. And I was first of all like, umming and ahhing about it, and then the more that I thought about it, I just thought, yeah, go on. We got like
you hemmed and hawed into like an 8-page manifesto.
Yeah, I did.
Of a wish list that would put Cam to shame.
I did. That was the thing. I knocked that out I had a bit of time on Friday, and I was thinking, right, wish list. Yeah, go on, Dan. I'm up for that now. And then when I was like up for it, I just started throwing, oh, that'd be good. Oh, that'd be good. Oh, that'd be good. Oh, I could add that. And then I've seen yours, and I'm going, oh man, I could have added so much more into it.
I know, it's funny because like it was my idea, and then I sent you like 4 bullet points, and I was like, yeah, this, and then I get your thing back, and I'm just like, all right, he wrote a lot more than I did, so A for effort, Rich.
Yeah. Did you want to start, or did you want me to start?
Yeah. Why don't you go, okay. And I'll kind of throw my stuff in, because do you want to go through your list or do you want to go like by game mode?
Well, let's go full list from each of us, and then nobody kind of like talks over like disputing things until we've both seen it. But I've sent you mine. I've got yours, so I'll read mine off, and I'll just straight off read it, and then you straight off read yours, and then we'll just deep dive both of them.
All right, and the listeners will decide who's better.
Yeah, I mean that's not the thing. It's all about we're all in this together. We're trying to make a better place. Sounds like I'm doing some kind of
Absolutely.
Michael Jackson song about like we are
I
the
know.
world, we
Yeah,
are the
it's
children.
MCOC. We are the world.
Yeah, God, we're gonna have to have like a charity single and just deep dive it. No, anyway, okay. So general points of improvement, I've got make content fairer. Honestly respond as to whether some devices cannot run the game. Obviously, that's something I talked about today. Support ticket system needs to have much more of an in-depth angle of support. Be more knowledgeable. Look into the functionality and response time with the AI for lower performing internet areas in the game and areas areas of the game isn't. English was my second language, it seems. Surely I don't have to change. Sorry, surely I don't have to change address, and I don't have super fast. I don't have super fast broadband, by the way. That's something that I don't have in this area because we live in the middle of nowhere. Solo events are just terrible on rewards, and the grind required is too extensive nowadays to achieve full milestones. So obviously, I'm talking about a change for that. Increase friend list to 100. Deals. Money spending reduced, made fairer and scaled better to the title system. So basically, better deals on better types of things. Kabam sort of getting there nowadays, but I'm talking about like a full overhaul, like reduce cost in units, make it just a bit more kind of interesting for people to buy on lower price brackets. Work more on alliance, so special events. Work more on alliance-based events, not 3-day events. Something different and new, involving maybe crystals, rank up specials, alliance targets like an ops mission, something that encourages alliance participation again. I feel there's a bit of a dead spot there with that. New side event modes like challenges, but something that involves a new dynamic than just swiping and tapping. Not exactly easy to do, but you know, Kabam have done stuff with that Grandmaster fight in the past. I'm sure they'll do something. Alliance raids, which I'm thinking about a replacement for wars and questing. Now on to crystals. Removal of 3 stars from the Cavaliers, overhaul of the pool of stuff on various crystals like solo, greater, solo war crystals, etc. Champion viability. Ramp up the amount of rebalances. Look at a way of improving champs at an ability perspective. Obviously, they're too difficult than adding more higher beneficial nodes for these champions, similar to variants in permanent content. So it's like saying 10% intact rating for Joe Fix-It in this and that, or kind of like amalgamate them into hashtags like mercenaries get 20% more attack. That's what didn't really explain myself there, but whatever. Story mode. New content to be thoroughly reviewed by a large catchment of the community, from endgame players to Act 5 players. Act 6 removal of the gating systems or double or tripling noding. Act 6 add more rewards to content. Act 6 remove the last 10% restrictions and have to the champion and have him only take down by special 3. And link node system to the champion fight removed entirely. Act 6 remove the excessive overnoding or enemy buffs in Act 6.3. Act 6 remove reverse controls and unblockable SP1 to the Grandmaster fight and change paths leading up, as well as a good chunk of 6.4 paths are kind of stinky. Arena. Make a 5-star basic, removing 4-star basic to allow 2 million guaranteed 4-star from the milestones, so instead of it being ranked, plus adding in 4 to 6-star arena boosts, in particular 6-star arena boost. To the milestones add 4 to 6-star arena boosts rather than the crystals. No, the crystals with 4 to 6 arena boosts. Sorry. Removal of Prem shards and uncollected and Cavalier to uncollected and Cavalier to get Grandmaster crystal shards. Did I make this drunk or something? Jesus Christ, I need to learn. I think it was like frantically typing this. More placements available above 150 places, obviously for the 5-star featured, and more than the 800 places in the 4-star featured. Basic Catalyst and Class Catalyst arenas overhaul, make Tier 5 Class Catalyst available and Tier 5 Basic on the grind. So not milestones, well maybe milestones, maybe a little chunk in there, but mainly with the ranks. Obviously endgame players and kind of like really top players are able to grind it for them. Monthly events. Improve the uncollected monthly rewards, adding in a full 5-star and make up the total of 3,000 6-star shards. So that's uncollected. Master to have an increase in 5-star shards as well. Cavalier difficulty plus side events that is fair for the community. Obviously they're adding in, but again the emphasis on fair for the community. And finally, Alliance Quest and Alliance War Seasons. Number 1, Alliance Quest remove entirely, put in a new method of participation. and replace with a new alliance raiding system, which I've talked about. There's a lot more specifics to that. I think I submitted that. I talked in a previous video about that in more details. And Alliance War, the same thing. Just overhaul those two events completely, all those participation-based things completely. Now breathe. Okay, Dan, over to you for yours.
And scene, Rich. Very good. Very good. All right, so my roadmap wish list. First up, commit to releasing one variant per quarter. So I think variants are pretty much the best received permanent content, and we can't be waiting 9 months between variants. They need to commit to a schedule there. On champion reworks, I would like them to commit to reworking 2 older champions per quarter. That would be a significant increase in pace and allows things to get done. So you could, month run 1, design, 2 run the beta, 3 look at the beta, and then it comes out. Regarding Alliance War, acknowledge Alliance War is a failed game mode and replace it with a smaller scale PvP. That could be your raid idea. That could be Brian Grant's idea. You could just hire Brian Grant to construct the new war. He's got great ideas. He's made hour-long videos about how to do it, so clearly he's put the thought into it. So just let Brian Grant do something with new war. Alliance Quest. I don't want to throw it out like Rich. I do like Alliance War. I like Alliance Quest, sorry. So I would like these tweaks. Start the map at max energy cap to 8 so that people can sleep. Link nodes are only directed towards mini bosses and bosses. And delete 1 lane from tiers 2 and 3 of maps 6 and 7. There should never be 10 lanes on a battle group map. Because that is a huge quality of life issue, because life happens and there should always be backup. Incursions. I love incursions. They are my favorite game mode, but they have been a letdown to true endgame players, and that's why they haven't been receiving the love that they should. Add Sector 8 with rewards geared towards 6 stars. So this is for those people with 1100 plus prestige that are through Act 6, through Abyss. Give them a reason to play incursions and give them a difficult level to match. Add a 6-star basic crystal to the artifact store for those people as well. Announce a quarterly incursions refresh schedule that coincides with the new crystal refreshes. So this should involve more thematic gameplay. For example, right now it's Ultron's Assault. Where is Ultron? Where are the Ultron bots? Make it, you have created a fantastic game mode with Incursions Kabam. Get the rewards right and just play with the theme a little bit more. And you've got something that's a 9 out of 10 that could be a 10 out of 10. So when I say like thematic gameplay, like if it's Ultron's Assault, well, you've got 2 different Ultrons and the Ultron bots. So should we be fighting them for every fight? No, but we should be seeing Ultrons on the map. In every zone. And also with the boosts, play around with the boosts. So let's give boosts against robotic attackers. Let's give boosts to the Avengers. Use the hashtags, right? You were saying this before. You have the hashtags. They're awesome. Use them. So just play with the buffs in that way, right? Like we've got some very cool but generic buffs. I want to see some themed stuff, right? Like, later on, maybe the next refresh is Dr. Doom. Get Doom in there. Get the Doom bots in. Give the Fantastic Four some unique boosts. That kind of thing. And finally, leaderboards. Incursions need leaderboards. And, there should be some sort of prizes for the people who clear the most zones within each 30-day cycle. And ideally, using any items would disqualify you from the leaderboard. Arenas. Yes, it is time for a 5-star basic arena. 5-star feature arena should move to a top 800 for ranks, and gold should be in all milestones for all arenas. And finally, communication. Kabam needs to work further ahead with the CCP on plans so that we can avoid issues like the mix map AQ ticket cost issue, because that was spotted as soon as the information was revealed to the CCP, but there was not enough time to institute a fix before it went live. And those kind of issues could be prevented if you involve the CCP earlier. You've got a group of players that are knowledgeable, that care about the game, and are under NDA. It's everything you need to focus group, things like that. And finally, a commitment to more community outreach. They need to make more videos. They need to be appearing on more podcasts and live streams. They need to be out there in the community talking to people, because that's what the community needs, and it's always well received. And listen, the community wants things. The community wants new game modes and improvements and more rewards. We know we can't always get them, but it's a lot easier than hearing nothing on the forums or just a no in text versus a Kabam dev getting on a live stream and explaining, well, this is why this is the way it is.
Yeah.
We need to hear their voices to understand the context behind the decision making. So that's my list, Rich.
Fantastic. I think there's things on yours I really like. I love the fact of incursions. Something I completely kind of skipped over was the idea of adding more to incursions, which it becomes its own little kind of not exactly that, but the term I'm looking for is it's like arena, but it's something that you can go in and grind at your own leisure and also pleasure, because if something like that is giving you pleasure, then you get it sounds wrong, but you get rewards back from something you enjoy. And adding in that dynamic of saying a sector rate with a 6-star basic crystal is such a great idea. And as well, like you said, the kind of using of the hashtag systems. You're right. Kabam have got hashtag mercenary, hashtag Avenger. You have something where you kind of if you use them this week, that you get an extra bonus by using them.
Yeah.
And you could even say as you said, if you have a Doom bot ambush or a Ultron bot ambush, or an Ultron ambush, that if it's on your lane and if you defeat it, imagine if there's something that you get in as a reward for both players. Maybe you pick up some extra, some 6-star shards, or
just something fun.
Something unexpected. I've just got an Ultron ambush. I hope you get it, because if you get it, we get this, and it's just
exactly.
Or maybe a special incursions type crystal, or maybe something that has a dark artifacts, attached to it by defeating. But that would be, stuff like that would be such an added little bonus that makes it a little bit more.
Right, and I just feel like incursions are this great sandbox where they can get wacky and have fun.
Yeah.
And it's not the same level of stress as, say, getting the Grandmaster boss correctly tuned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not going to be as game breaking either way, right? So, we've talked about this before, but when Kabam really kind of shoots for the moon with some stuff, and is really out there, My Little Symbiote, for instance, right? Those are some of the things that we love the best, because the creativity is there. Kabam has, I don't think the player unrest right now is not caused by Kabam trying to get too creative and outthinking themselves. It's because things got stale.
Yeah.
So that's my message to him, is now's the time to switch stuff up. So, looking at your list, Rich, I think one point that we should really unpack is you keep coming back to the point about fairness, right? What does fairness mean to you in terms of content and deals?
I think it's a bit of a weird one to get past the post, and I think it's a bit weird to kind of like explain it. But I'm going to try it the best I can.
Yeah.
How to kind of outline what is fair. Obviously, when you look at other games, maybe other kind of like mobile games, maybe like console games, and that's the problem because I play PC games, console games, and mobile games. If there's something that I find difficult, a stumbling block, or I can't get past it, like I was playing Injustice 2 last night with M on PS4, and same thing with Call of Duty Wars and stuff, other games I play. If I reach a point where something isn't working, or I can't get past something, or there's something of a campaign that I can't get past, it's a case that, either I go, right, well, I'll go back to it, and I haven't lost anything going up to that fight before, but if I was to fail against the Grandmaster, I am having to buy currency. I buy something with currency to then get through it. And either it's a case like, number one, I'm not skilled enough. Number two, there could be something where, a connection problem, or something where it's not as responsive. And obviously I'm at the hands of kabam servers, my own internet connection and my own device's capability, which obviously will then cause me frustration. And it's a case like, if I was to go back into the campaigns of the PS4 game, like Injustice 2, I haven't lost anything going into that fight again. But this costs me. So I think it's just, when I talk about fairness, is like going, right, well, do I feel able to do this? Do I feel like it's fair that I have to constantly revive myself to get back and do something? I know that unfortunately breaks down what is actually a computer game kind of mentality. And yeah, look, maybe that's the case, that this is, maybe I'm coming to a point where my age is that I'm not reacting quick enough with a mobile game. Maybe it's a case that we need to change internet. I don't know. But I just, one of these things where I go, right, if I've got X champion, I go into Y content, and I'm like, I can do this, and I do this well, then that's great. But if it's not going so well, what are the factors? Is it because the node's too overbearing? I'll get, like, again, to further kind of, because I haven't really explained myself too well, is like the champion fight. The champion fight. Yeah. I can get the champion down to 10%, no problem at all. But it's that last 10% where I find it very rarely that I'm able to ping up prowess off of dexing. Like, I'll dex, and I was like, I'm pretty certain I swipe back at the correct time. I think that's the best explanation of it. It's going, I'm pretty certain I swipe back at the correct time, but prowess is not pinging up. Dexterity's pinging up, but I'm not getting prowess with it. Or it's a case, I'm like, I swipe back, why isn't dexterity and why isn't prowess coming up at the same time to kind of say, right, I reach my 5? I think that's the better kind of explanation. Sorry to anybody listening. Sorry, Dan, as well.
Yeah, Rich. So player fairness is such an interesting concept because everyone's bar of what's fair is different.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I want to do Abyss, but I don't have the roster for it, and my skill is probably not quite there yet, and I'm okay with that, but I think it's always tricky, right? Because there's some people that really want to push and they're willing to spend through content, which I guess, that's also fair too, right? Like I'm okay with that. But you do have to sort of self-police yourself, right? When it comes to, like, what do we think's fair? Like, is it me? Is it the content? Like, for me, fairness just comes down to, is the damage unavoidable, or did I die because my skill isn't there?
Yeah.
So, when you talk about the champion fight, like, I guess I have a little bit different bar with that fight than you do. But when I look at something like, all right, you're going to make me do that with no retreat, that doesn't seem very fair to me.
Yeah.
Because that's, it's like you've created a mechanic where I have to back up. And then you're going to penalize me for it. Like there's so much of that in Act 6 that I don't like.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you're going to send me down a road and then make the road bumpier. That's what I don't like. But the other part of that you were talking about was the deals. And, that's such a tricky thing in the game, right? Because people a lot of time talk about, oh, this deal is bad value, this or that. But what I've come to think about the deals is there's people who are willing to spend that amount of money on things in this game, which I just can't even fathom, right? And it's like, is Kabam wrong for selling it at that price? I don't know. I part of me says they can't be wrong if people are buying it, because it is a business, and if people are willing to pay that much to go faster, I guess we kind of have to let them. In some regards.
Yeah, that becomes the issue of like what is determined, what determines value, and what Kabam feel that when they were putting out the game. Like, is it a case that if a game launched, let's say like Marvel Realm, Seven Deadly Sins, it'd be interesting to find out from other people. Obviously, everybody knows that, or everyone should know that Netmarble owns Kabam and owns Marvel Contest Champions and Seven Deadly Sins. So obviously, effectively, it all goes into what is the same pot, so to speak. But do people from Seven Deadly Sins see more value from the way that things are priced in that game as opposed to Marvel Contest of Champions? That is another kind of like point to kind of go, if Marvel Contest Champions came out today and had the pricing scheme that it did for things like units and as well, just stuff like that, is it a case it will be deemed as fair? And also, because I haven't played Seven Deadly Sins, so maybe somebody could put in whatever comment section about this and maybe get in contact, is that, are you with that kind of currency based system, is it a case that you are buying new characters only, or are you paying for things like revives and stuff that maybe this game has and that game does not? That's also another interesting thing, because like I could say, right, well, I'm going to spend 3,000, I'm going to get like an Odin's worth, 3,100 units, and be able to blast through a lot of Act 6 because of whatever reason, mistakes, loss of connection, unavoidable damage, and it's a case that value would only be determined of what I was able to get through as a small chunk, as opposed to saying, oh, that would be able to clear me personally based on whatever skill level, the entirety of Act 6, but would obviously other games be very different. That's really the kind of the thing with the deals. Not really with the deals, but like on the extent of spend, what is determined of value. Like for me, 4th of July is going to be not about, I'm not really interested in shards. I'm interested in rank up materials, because I've got I've got probably about 10 to 15 champions now. I don't need any new champions because they have all the kit patterns that I need. Probably except for I would like a long shot, Mojo, and Red Guardian. Those three champions. That's all I really need. That's new and exciting kit that I'd be interested in bringing into content. But I'd love all them at 565. I'm not going to be able to get all those champions to 565 because I've even been in Alliance. I've hit a barrier of acquisition that I need more acquisition of rank up resources as opposed to shards, which is a weird thing. I never thought I'd get to this point. And ISO and gold.
Yeah, the ISO and gold thing is crazy. Yeah. I think when we talk about the deals, I think because Seaton is playing Seven Deadly Sins and it's another Netmarble game, and we're seeing a lot of players also playing that game, those games are just getting compared to each other a lot, and it's really difficult because you're talking about a game that's a couple months old versus a game that's 5+ years old, and everything's spicy and new with Seven Deadly Sins. So I don't know. It's Kabam didn't make all that money on MCOC by accident. So I don't know. I have a hard time saying that their monetization of the game is wrong. My argument's always been, as a player who's not comfortable spending hundreds of dollars at a shot, I would like to see more value in the once in a while $5 or $10 deals. And then, we've seen the unit card, we've seen the sigil, we've started to see them play around in the level of monetization that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
Which I like. Because I do, they provide me with a lot of value. I'm sure I play 2 to 3 hours a day, when you consider what I'm paying for satellite TV and how much I actually watch, which is very, very little, versus how much I spend on MCOC versus how much time I spend in MCOC. Like it doesn't actually make much sense. But the other part of it is where was I? With the deals, right? It's the deals versus like what you can grind, where I think the real problem is.
Yeah, I know. There was a time where Kabam did a very brief thing where if you bought something Deadpool related, you were able to do a special Deadpool arena. That was a very, very limited time they did that.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was obviously a paid entry, so that was probably the first time that it came all about like, oh, let's separate out obviously free to play to those that obviously can spend to grind. So separation like that is obviously games can't run for free. I think we all understand that.
Yeah.
And the amount of money that I've put into the game would not even cover the janitor for 1 year at Kabam Vancouver. So that says a lot. I mean, what Seaton spent would probably put a games developer in, pay for a games developer at Kabam Vancouver for about, I'd say, a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Probably 2 years. It depends really. I'm not quite well up with how much you get paid as a games developer. It should be relatively well, I hope, but not.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably more like I think Seaton's spent like $50,000 US. So
okay,
that's not going to be a year's salary for a game developer.
No. So that's obviously we're taking it from that. And the thing is that only touches on the servers of the extreme whales, because like there's the proper extreme whales that have put in hundreds of thousands of dollars into the game, which that's the thing. The game obviously has been financially viable to a point where I think the shareholders, but obviously with Netmarble's acquisition, it depends how these things work. Sometimes it's the case like if you buy something, you've bought the entirety of the shares of that company, so you become the predominant owner of that. There's a lot to it. I don't want to speculate, but the game's done well. It's been well received up to a certain point financially, and deals wise, I don't know if I'd like to see something more regular and extra with those unit packs, which Kabam seem to do. It seems to be like now we've got like 3 maybe 4 times a year you'll see a unit deal with some added extras, and I think that's for me just identifying maybe either adding more units to those kind of like higher end stuff like the Odins or things, and just kind of when it comes to the more difficult content, that there's more available units from those that want to spend into the game. And the daily card is there, and I do agree that's something that I've bought myself, and there's a few other things that are low cost, but it's whether or not that makes a difference. And with the increasing of hit pools for your champions, when you're going up and you're spending 1 revive, 40 units, and then 28 units for a health potion, that's a 68 unit time kind of refresh. So then it starts adding up more than it did say back about 4 years ago. I think that's just another kind of side point to that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think Cam's actually talked a lot about that, like the health pools and how expensive war is and the consumables. Like, I mean, if you want to play this game really hard, it gets quite expensive.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, and unfortunately, it feels like there's never been a bigger gap between the spenders and the light or the non-spenders. Even those people who are willing to play the game, intensely, right? Like they just can't keep up. Like Brian Grant can't keep up. He will arena his face off 3 hours a night, and he can't keep up. Like, and it's not even close. Because and a lot of that has to do with Cavalier crystals, more than anything else. Yeah, and how they distorted roster acquisition. So
and that's one of the things I put in my wish list is to remove 3 stars from the Cavalier crystal, and it's like,
but in some ways that makes it worse.
Does it?
Well, because if you're if we're saying there's an imbalance between the heavy spenders and the non-spenders, and it's out of whack, if you take the 3 stars out, that means that they're getting, even if they don't bump the 5 or 6 star rate, let's say all the 3 stars become 4 stars. Well, now you're giving them a crap ton more ISO and gold and 5-star shards.
I do see that point. It kind of but then that's the thing, isn't it? For me saying that I'm lacking ISO, for Clobbering Time to say that he's lacking ISO, this would obviously be one of those methods to stimulate more of it. Yes, it does. You're correct. It does stimulate more of a divide between the spenders and the non-spenders, and that is the you're right. That's a difficult line with it. I think really for me, when I first, because I've still not pulled a 6-star from Cavalier Crystals, and maybe I've got, instead of spending, and I will actually be doing this in a video, I will be identifying how much I've spent on Cavaliers and featured Cavaliers, and finding out whether or not there's any kind of correlation, and if I can compare it to any other MC YouTuber as like the value side of things. Okay, well, Joe Blogs has spent £500 on Cavalier Crystals. I've spent £600, maybe £700. Again, I need to do a sum, so just throwing it out there. But they have got 2 to 3 6-stars, where I've never picked up a 6-star. And I'm looking at, say, the value from, have I picked up more 4 stars and 5 stars against them? Have they picked up relatively, someone has picked up a relative amount that's less on, that's more 3 stars, where I've done more 4 stars and 5 stars, those kind of things, as well as to where's my advantage there? Am I disadvantaged because they have a 6-star that's in there, whereas there's loads of kind of like fundamentals to compare for that, but yeah, I do see that point from the side of going, we've overstimulated the idea that the rich, the whales get richer in game, and the free to play remain poorer and get no kind of bump, so to speak. It's a difficult one,
right? Because that's the thing, is with the Cavalier Crystals, like it's really a volume play, right? Like you have to, you kind of have to buy your way through the terrible odds to really start reaping the benefits. Like you could get very lucky in a very small sample, but like I kind of feel like what you're saying is like, kind of that mid spender of Cavaliers, like you're not going to see the value there. Because I'm looking at the featured Cavs right now. If you're trying to target a specific champion, it's a 0.10% chance for the 6-star featured. So right now it's the 6-star featured Tigra. 0.10%. No, so not 1%, not 1 out of 100 gets you a 6-star Tigra. It's 1 out of 1,000 gets you the 6-star Tigra. And there's people running around with SIG 200 6-star Dr. Dooms.
Yeah.
Like think about how many crystals they bought, because they didn't get there through SIG stones. They got that, and they didn't get it from duping him in the 6-star basic pool like a bunch of times. They got those through Cav crystals.
Yeah.
With 1 in 1,000 odds.
And that's the thing with it. It's like, I understand there are people that are exceedingly wealthy, and that's fine. You do you at the end of the day if you want to spend.
Subsidize the game, please.
Yeah, and that's cool. You're contributing to obviously the success of the game more than even myself, who drops like a minimal amount, like a lot less than Seaton Legacy and a lot of people. But that's just how it rolls, because I've got to. As I've got older, it's a case you've got to kind of like, like the thing is, I could say something completely out of whack that people don't agree with, and I basically ruin my channel. My channel could be dead at any point, and that's my livelihood gone. So I need to be very careful on saving money, looking at the future as well, those kind of things, and going like, right, if it ends tomorrow, I can then rely on my savings to then go. I will then go out and find a full-time job, and then obviously at least to say, yay, I've done this, and then that's it, and I've moved on. But for me personally, I have to be careful. Yes, there is tax deductible in spending crystals. That's just how, again, the business side of things works. But
right.
again, going back to that point about like value, and it's like, if I spend my money, and a lot of the time it's to do sponsored content, going, okay, well, companies paid me to kind of promote. I'll do a featured cav. The last one we did with Any Mini Fig, we did a crystal off, which was a case that was fun to do, and that was nice. That was a fun little video that we recorded. But what we got back from that, and I keep referring back to this, I got a 5-star Nick Fury, where Tanner didn't really get anything of value to use. A lot of ISO, yes, but yeah, I'm still like, I'm very, again, maybe it's down to me being a bit selfish of what I kind of want to see from this, like removing 3 stars just to kind of like facilitate more ISO to me, more champion luck, so to speak, with 4s and 5s, and obviously 6 would be great. But yeah, I do see that point of like, is this going to misbalance the economy? I do see that as well. It's a tough one because I'm a bit stubborn sometimes.
Yeah, it is so tough, and I don't think the whales are going to get upset if someone that grinds their face off like a Brian Grant could keep up. Like he used to be able to keep up, and I don't really think the whales were complaining that a guy who plays the game for all the hours that he did basically professionally was able to hang with them when it came to high tier war and Alliance Quest play, because it's like, all right, it's that time is money thing. It's like, all right, I'm going to spend money to buy back some time where he's going to spend his time to grind out the game. It's I'd like to see the game find a little bit more balance there. I'm totally fine with the whales spending money and going faster and getting stuff that I just want to see, for the people that do want to spend the time, that they get a little more out of it. So looking at the list, is there anything else you want to touch on from the wish list?
No, I like yours because you identify a lot of things when it comes to stuff I haven't really considered. I think we're both on agreement on a lot of things, especially going a bit further on stuff like, we're talking about incursions. I think we differ a little bit on Alliance Quest, and I think that's fine, because the concept of a lot of this roadmap is nothing is going to be pleasing. I think something that a lot of people will need to bear in mind next week when we deep dive this will be a case like Kabam will probably miss the mark with some people on specific things. And
absolutely.
It will be a case down to like what you want, Kabam may not be able to facilitate. So obviously myself and Dan have got this massive list together, but maybe there's stuff like, that Kabam might not have considered. But that doesn't mean to say that it rules out the future, and they could like identify a few things. Communication, I do agree that they should be spending a bit more time to go to things like podcasts and streams. And we tried to get Thel and Mike on a while ago. I think we'll try again next week and see where we're up to.
It would be good to have someone from Kabam to discuss the roadmap and the reaction and where we go from here.
Yeah. Is there anything on my list that you maybe wanted to touch on?
No, I think we covered the the big points. So.
Yeah, I think we're both agreed on things like the arena and a lot of quality of life improvements. Yeah, like I said, we differ on a few things and stuff, and that's fine. You're meant to have stuff that's identified that you have that someone else may not have. That has been the podcast. Dan, what are you up to this week?
Definitely more Modok Island gameplay, and I will be sharing the first footage from my new account. I've restarted the game. Going to do some early guides for Act 1, and it's been really cool. Kind of going in and being like, all right, I don't have dexterity, I don't have parry, like trying to think about it from a new player perspective and how you would teach someone the game from the very first map was it was really cool. So I'm enjoying the experience.
Fantastic. I'm going to be putting out a string of videos. I'm going to be doing I think I'm going to do Modok best buys from the store. I'm going to be doing the featured Cavaliers comparison of how much I've spent to what I've got out of it, and the value of it. Also, like an incursions run with the what synergy? Abomination, King Groot, and Eastern Blocker synergy in incursions.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That wasn't too bad. A few highlights from there, and then I think some other stuff as well throughout the week, and maybe some guides. I'm going to write, I think, a lot. That's what I want to do. Just write some guides. I just haven't really sat down. Everything's all go. I've got some sponsorship deals to do next week as well. So, hey, for variety on the channel. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for listening. Thanks as always to Dan for being with me. We'll try and see if we can get a couple of guests on for the roadmap reaction, which is going to be a spicy podcast next week. Yeah, thanks everybody. Make sure to catch us on Spotify, on iTunes, and SoundCloud. Links in the description. See you all next week. Bye bye.